Hello everyone, it's Jade from Boho Bookworm. Welcome back to my channel. Better late than never. It's finally my December wrap up. I really do apologise if you can hear the high street outside. Unfortunately, this is the best spot to film in the house for lighting purposes. I need to get one of those like ring lights, I think, so I can record in a quieter room. I will try and edit it because I've got my laptop back now, and I'll try and reduce the background noise as much as I can, but FYI, sorry in advance. So, in December, I read a total of 4 books. And the first one that I started off with, it's such a hard book to review. Tender as the Flesh by Bazterrica. What's it? Augustina Bazterrica. Ugh. I mean, the whole premise of this just really fascinated me because it was just so gruesome and so weird and bizarre. So imagine this world where animal meat has become poisonous to humans due to this virus that's completely taken over. And I swear, COVID-19 do not get any ideas. So the government has legalized human meat. Humans are farmed at like processing plants. They're slaughtered like pigs and milked like cows. They now don't have emotions or a concept of what's going on. They can't speak English. They don't have a language. Like, some of them are even kept in a fridge while alive, getting slowly dismembered. Like, it's just horrific stuff. So one day, this guy called Marcos, who we're following in this book, receives a gift, and he works at one of these processing plants. He receives a female of the highest quality meat. However, he forms his connection with her, and he realizes that A, he can't sell her, he can't eat her, but it is highly illegal for him to do any kind of intimate stuff with her. But, you know, he does, and she winds up pregnant with his baby. I can't fathom where the idea for this book came from. I really, really can't. I'd say the weirdest thing that just chilled my spine was listening to it on Audible, because there's parts where like the characters are talking while they're chewing, and just the idea and the knowledge in your head that like they are chewing on human flesh is just, it's, I don't know. I feel so weird even talking about this. One of my favourite booktubers, Jacqueline, she said that she feels like this book doesn't actually have a plot, and I completely agree. I feel like the connection between Marcos and this female really wasn't the focus of the book. It lacked everything. It was very few and far between that she was even in the story, in my opinion. It was just kind of, it was weighed down with descriptions of this dystopian world, and not a lot really happened. It's honestly sickening and boring. So yeah, I think I gave it a 2-star review in the end. The next book was even worse. The Therapist by B.A. Paris. So she's an author that I really thought was, you know, one of my favourite authors in the world. And then I realised, okay, the only book I've actually enjoyed from her is Behind Closed Doors. The others have all just gone drastically downhill, and I just don't, I'm losing hope that she used to be an author, she used to be an author by author for me, but I'm starting to wonder if I should even bother again. So I've talked about this book quite a lot on my channel, but it's about this couple called Alice and Leo, and they move into this gated community. I can't talk today. Community called the Circle, and it's like quite a prestigious place, I think. So they think that, wow, this is like their chance to have this new amazing start. They're really finally getting somewhere in their lives. And then they move in, and Alice quickly discovers that something horrific happened there before they moved in. Basically, this woman was brutally murdered there. And so she forms this connection with the woman who was murdered because she's got the same name as her sister, and she kind of gets completely obsessed with this case and trying to figure out who the real murderer is, because everyone around her, all the other people in this community, just seem to be hiding secrets and not really wanting to tell her what's really going on. And her relationship with Leo has completely effed up because he didn't tell her that someone got murdered in their house before they moved in. And why did he not tell her? Why did he want this house so much? She starts getting, you know, paranoid about him and everyone around her, and yeah, it was a train wreck. It infuriated me. The writing was terrible. It's not the same author who wrote Behind Closed Doors. I don't believe it for a second. The dialogue was just painful. It really needs a good edit. For one, it was horribly slow paced. all of the characters are unlikable, bland, boring, and especially Alice's main character. She irked me to my core, could not stand her, and her arrogant, champagne-loving, irritating husband or boyfriend, whatever he was, Leo, he just infuriated me even more. But Alice, come on, okay, so someone was murdered in your house. Cool, get it. It's something to be upset about and get freaked out about, yeah. But don't, like, uh, uh, Leo's upstairs in the bedroom where this murder happened. She's downstairs and she's texting him, like, all petty, like, can you please get me this, and this from upstairs, because I'm not going up there, and then I'm going to kick you out, and I'm going to just pretend that even though you've paid for this house, that I'm entitled to it now for a while, because why not? And I'm going to have the audacity for all my friends to drop whatever they're doing whenever I feel like it's time to go to them. Like, she just had no concept that people have lives of their own and that she's really not the top priority. There were a lot of like over descriptions as well. Like, she described this white shirt as an immaculate white shirt because it doesn't have crumb on it, or the fearsome horse. I was just like, oh, come on, the dramatics of it just eye roll. It was repetitive, it was exasperating, and honestly just downright stupid with the amount of contradictions. It was far-fetched and filled with pointless filler that didn't need to be included. This book actually didn't need to be published at all because it was that bad. Okay, going on to a book I actually did enjoy this month, thank goodness, or last month, Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. So this one, I think Gabby recommended to me, and it is a book that I've had for ages, but I left it in South Africa, so I'm so glad I finally picked it up. 14 years ago, the most popular girl in school disappeared without a trace. No one expected her best friend Gio would have anything to do with it, until the remains are discovered. Someone that both of these girls were close with in their childhood, Cassier, he starts to investigate the case because he's now become a detective. He discovers that the victim was actually sexually assaulted by a known murderer. His name's Calvin James. But he's more than just a rapist and murderer to Gio. They had a relationship, a very dark, toxic relationship at that. It bordered on obsession. So look, normally crime books really don't do it for me. Jar of Hearts was a crime book on steroids, and I absolutely loved it. There are countless trigger warnings for this book, sexual assault obviously, but it's dark. Darker than I anticipated. It's very sexually explicit, very graphic, and in a way, Hillier's writing kind of reminds me of Colleen Hoover's books with like that level of like eroticism in them, and the toxic relationships, things like that. I just felt like a bit of a connection between the two. It's such an addictive book, and I could not stop reading it. I was completely immersed. I flew through it. It just felt really fresh. It was rife with tension. It was suspenseful, energetic, original, powerful. It's the book I needed. I awarded this one a solid 4 out of 5 star review. And lastly, The Push by Ashley Audrain. So this is an amazing book. Solid 5 out of 5 stars. Best book I read throughout December. A book about a creepy kid. Sign me up. I mean, I was slightly hesitant because it was compared to Baby Teeth, and that is a book that I couldn't stand, but I'm so glad I tried this one out because it is honestly fantastic. And it hit me right in my feels literally so many times. I was reading this book trying not to cry. Well, that's apparently easy for me to do these days. Yesterday I cried in a bloody cooking show. I mean, it's a hard to stomach book. It is sinister. It's twisted. Again, it's rife with that tension that I love in a book. It's very uncomfortable to read, but it was a breath of fresh air. It was captivating, it was addictive, and it chilled me to my bone. I really liked the first person narrative. It was kind of written as if it was a letter that she's reading out loud, and I liked that a lot. It's basically our main character Blythe detailing the events that happened after she gives birth to her daughter, but it dives deeper into her and takes you through her own childhood as well with her mum. And it's very much a book about mother-daughter relationships, which is something that is quite hard hitting for me, but this book was just phenomenal. So basically, the book is about Blythe and her husband Fox, and they're really happily married until she falls pregnant. I mean, they've been trying for ages, and they are ecstatic when she finally gets a positive pregnancy test. But things go tragically wrong, very wrong, when that baby is born and starts to become a little human. Blythe has no connection to her daughter, really, and her daughter is definitely a daddy's girl, and that forces a major wedge between their relationship. I'll be honest, like it did take me a little while to get into this book. I wasn't really sure if I was going to get there with it, but suddenly it was just like, it sucked me right in. And what I love is what an impossible situation that is. Imagine you're a mother, you birth this child, and you are 100% convinced that they are evil, and you don't just resent them, you actually hate them. I can't, it's such a crazy thing to even think about. So I just love the way that the author tackled it. It's not exactly a thriller, it's more of a domestic suspenseful drama. Again, trigger warnings for things like miscarriages, child abuse, infidelity, self-harm, mental health. It's a wild, wild ride. It's depressing, You've got to be in the right mindset to read this book, because it really can leave a dark cloud over you. It will haunt you well beyond you finish the last page. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Fantastic book, highly recommend it. They are the books that I read throughout December. It's almost the end of bloody January now. I need to catch up, but I'm back. I've got my laptop. Now it's just the Wi-Fi situation, but I will do as much as I can when I can. So I hope you're all having a wonderful start to 2022. I am. So talk to you soon.